Should you keep your dog in a house, in a kennel, in a crate, on the bed? Should it be on the sofa? Does it make any difference to training? Hi, I'm Charlie Thorburn. Welcome to More Dog Undogs. This week's video, we're going to discuss the pros and cons of where your dog lives and how it lives with you, and how that affects training and focus, etc. So we've got lots of dogs, and because we've got lots of dogs, they can't all live in the house. Generally what we do is when they're young, they grow up in the kennels, so the puppies have an outside grass area, grass pen, where they play, and they grow up when they're of sort of 8 weeks upwards, and then once they get a bit older and they start digging holes and climbing fences and making a bit general mess, they go into the kennels. Obviously most people at home, their dog will be in the house. Most people who watch this will keep their dogs in the house. They might have a kennel of some description, or like a room where their dogs go. We call it the dog room, sort of boot room type thing, and we have about half a dozen dogs who sort of sleep in there. We've got dogs who are permanently in the house. We've got dogs who, from the dog room, who come in the house in the evenings or in the mornings or days that we're at home or etc. And then we've got dogs that haven't been in the house at all. They're young, they're in training, and they don't come in the house until they're of a level of training. And people often say to me that they say, you know, well, oh, it's different because our dogs are in the house, so the training's different, or it's harder to do what you do or how you do it, etc. Now, yeah, to greater or lesser extent, there are some truths behind that. If you've got a young dog with you all the time, sitting on the sofa, sleeping in your bed, when you take it outside, bear in mind that it's with you all the time. When you take it outside, it's kind of immediate attitude is they've got no interest in you whatsoever, because they've been with you for hours and they're literally like, yeah, whatever, I'm off to smell stuff. And they go out and they start smelling and sniffing and running around because like, woohoo, we're out, we're having fun. And they don't really care that they're with you because they've been with you for 4 or 5 hours, and you've been in the background talking to them and saying things to them and not talking to them and telling them to go to their bed and letting them get away with things that they shouldn't get away with. Or maybe you're really good with them in the house, maybe you're really strict. But either way, they're with you all the time. So when you take them out, they haven't got that same kind of like excitement to be with you. Oh, you're going out, you're taking me out, thank you, that's great, I'm so excited. So if you've got a dog the other end of the scale, you've got a dog who lives in a kennel, then obviously when you take them out, they're like, wow, this is the best bit of my day. I'm going out with dad or mum, and we're going out for a walk, and we're doing training, and getting a correction on the lead or being told to sit on the wet grass is like, yeah, whatever, I'll do anything, because it's great to be out, and I love being out with you and doing stuff with you. Whereas a dog that's lying in front of the fire or in front of the Aga, and it's like, you're taking it outside on a wet day, and you're saying sit and wait, and they throw a dummy and they have to go and pick up this kind of soggy looking dummy, and they're a bit like, and they get basically a bit spoilt. They turn into spoilt brats, and you create a spoilt brat by allowing them too much fun, too much of the good life, and not enough of the discipline and earning their place. We have dogs who sleep on the sofa. We have dogs that if I get an opportunity, will sleep in my bed. We have dogs that live in the house all the time. We have dogs that come in the house some of the time. Now, all of those dogs have all earned that place. They've all earned that right. So how would I do it if I was just having dogs in the house and I wasn't ever going to have a kennel or any kind of thing, any sort of setup like that? I would have a room, a boot room, or a utility room, or a room somewhere away from me if possible, where the dog could be on its own initially in the early part of their life, until they're at least a year, 18 months. It would be a crate, and it'd be away from me, so they get some downtime from me. They're not engaged in kind of conversations that I'm talking all the time, and them learning from a young age, oh yeah, he just prattles on all the time, we'll just ignore him. Because that's essentially what your house dogs have to do, is every time you say something, they don't go, was that me? Do you want me? They're like, oh yeah, he's just talking on the phone again, or he's talking to mum again, or he's talking to the kids, or he's yelling at the kids, or he's yelling at mum, or he's being yelled at by mum. It all just becomes kind of in the background, and they start to lose interest. So when you actually want to engage them, you have to try so much harder, and it's much more effort for them, because they're so used to ignoring you. They're so used to ignoring you. Even when you're telling them to do something, are you being strict enough? When you tell them to go to their bed, are you actually insisting they go to their bed, or are you just letting them get away with just getting out from under your feet? Or do they go to their bed and they stay there for like 2 seconds and then they come off again, you let them get away with it? So they start to kind of realize that you aren't someone to be taken too seriously. Whereas if they're away in a different room in their crate, then when you go to take them out, you are actively going to get them. You're making them wait at the door, you're taking them out, wait at the door of the house, you're putting them on a lead, you're out in the garden with them. It is just one-to-one time. So, alone time. Kennels is not about being in a kennel because it's tough and it'll toughen them up. Because our kennels are pretty good. They're heated and things. And actually, we're hoping to build some new ones pretty soon, and they're going to be pretty fancy. To be honest, they're going to be pretty smart and pretty comfortable for the dogs. But it's not about the sort of the comfort. It's about the sort of distance from you, the time away from you. So people say to me, "Oh, it's very different training. You've got them in kennels, ours setup's different." Well, if I didn't have the kennels and I had a home setup, I would make the setup similar. I would have the crate in the corner of the room. If you have a big open plan house, I'd have it in the corner of the room, and I'd maybe put something over it, and I'd turn the door so they couldn't see me all the time, and yeah, they'd be able to hear me, but having that time away from me is good for them. Now, obviously what comes with that, people are going to say, "Oh, well, how long should you leave them in their crate and stuff?" We basically think that 3 hours of downtime is a good amount. We let our dogs out for a run every 3 hours, whether that's the house dogs or the kennel dogs. They get out every 3 hours for a run, obviously not through the night, but from the first thing in the morning till the evening, they're out every 3 hours. Now, between that time, those dogs are also out for their training as well. But if you base it on every 3 hours they're going out and doing something, then if I just had one dog or two dogs in the house, every 3 hours I would take that young dog out of its crate, and I would take it out into the garden, and I would do something constructive. I'd make it wait at the door. I'd make it sit outside on the grass. I'd blow a few whistles at it. I'd throw a few retrieves for it. I'd do something with it. I'd then let it have a bit of downtime and have its pee and wander around. Then I might bring it into the house and have it with me for an hour or something. It might hang around with me for an hour or so, and then I'd kind of go, right, I've got whatever people do these days who've got real jobs. They have a Zoom call or a phone call or a meeting, or someone's coming to see them, whatever. So the dog goes back in the crate. It's away from them again. It's got some downtime. The owners have got some time away from the dog. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. You're both away from each other, so when your time is back together, you both appreciate it more. You both go at it with the same vibe. If you've got dogs with you all the time and they're under your feet, oh, for God's sake, get out the way. You're standing on them while you're trying to get a pan out of the dishwasher, or they're licking the dishwasher, or they're on the sofa and you don't want them on the sofa because you've got someone coming around, you're like, oh, get off. And it all becomes a bit negative, okay? And the dog's then like, oh, God, Mum, they're on my case again, Whereas if they're in their crate, they're on their own, they're not doing anything wrong, they're not under your feet, you're not really talking to them, you're not engaging with them, but when you do go and get them out, you're like, oh, let's go, and they're like, oh, thanks for letting me out, and they're sort of hopping on the spot, and you're taking them out, and yeah, they might be a bit excited, they might be sort of scrabbling on the floor a bit, but that excitement is for you, it's for being out with you. So that's kind of very much the methodology, the theory behind it as to why we do it the way we do it. And the dogs that we have loose and in the house all the time and that sleep on the sofa and things, they are the dogs that have been through that. They've done that. They're retired. They're whatever. They've passed that stage in their life. They've earned their right to sit on the sofa. They've earned their right to hang around with us all day, because also they're really well behaved and they don't get under our feet. And if we do say go to your bed, they go to their bed. If we do say, right, come on out, you come, they come out. If we say come back in, they come back in. They're not out on the lawn racing around, causing trouble with us, trying to answer a phone call, kids crying, dogs running around, bloody hell, It's all gone wrong. We don't have that because we avoid putting ourselves in that situation, because when there's a kid eating their supper and the phone's going things, I'm not letting the dog out of its crate. I've already done that. I've done it an hour ago or half an hour ago, and the dog's back in its bed or back in its crate or back in the boot room or the laundry room or whatever your sort of the spare bedroom. One of the crew that work for me, they've got their dog sleep upstairs in a little kind of boxy spare bedroom because that's the sort of the convenient place for them. But they go into that room, that's where the dogs go, and that's where they sleep and they get their downtime. And you're not trying to juggle a naughty little puppy or a naughty little adolescent dog while you're trying to juggle all these other things, because you've got somewhere that you can put it, shut it, and not fall out with it. And this is the kind of, oh, but they have a great life, and I feel a bit mean. And you're like, yeah, but You know, our kids don't want to go to school. Like, my kids aren't in the morning going, cool, I'm going to school, I'm going to school. They are if they're going on some like fancy outing that's cost me a blooming fortune. They're like, oh, I've got a picnic and we're wearing home clothes and we're off to see the Falkirk Wheel, or we're off to Blair Drummond Safari Park, or we're doing some fun thing like that. Yeah, they're all over school, but that's not school, is it? If you turn around and say, oh yeah, you're going to your French lesson, or do you want to stay here and hang around and watch TV and hang around at home? Of course they're going to choose, I mean, my kids probably worse than most, but of course they're going to choose to stay at home because they live in a pretty cool place. Like, why would I want to go to school when I can stay at home and go out on my bike or on a go-kart or climb a tree or mess around or generally be given a sort of free ticket to do what you like? They don't want to go to school in the same way a young dog might not want to go into their cage, but we teach them that that's just what happens. So they get up in the morning and they go to school, and occasionally our kids, our 4-year-old the other day was like, I don't want to go to school. We didn't turn around and go, oh, do you not want to go to school? Oh, well, you can stay at home. We were like, tough, you're going to school. That's life. That's what you do. We all did it. Well, you'll all do it. You just get up and you go to school. You know, we didn't let them get away with it, and neither do any of you, I don't imagine. But for some reason, you change the rules when it comes to your dogs. Often something I say to people in lessons and training, and when we're having questions, I say, well, would you let your children do that? And they go, oh, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. My children had rules. They did what they were told. They went to bed on time. They had to earn their money. They had to do the firewood. They had to do this. I was like, so why the hell are you letting your 4-month-old puppy lie on the sofa and growl at you when you tell it off and then going, oh, it didn't want to come off. It growled at me. It was obviously quite happy there. Yeah, exactly. You think you're looking at me and you know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking bloody idiot. Okay? So just think about what you're doing and what message you're giving to your young dog that's cruising around the house and ignoring you all the time. And when you're yelling at it, it's just like ignoring you again. If you put it in its crate, you put it in the boot room, put it in the laundry room, put it in the dog room, put it wherever, put it in the spare bedroom, put it away from you so that when you do take it out, it's all fun, it's all positive, and then the negativity reduces from you, and you know, the enthusiasm from you is better because your focus is on the dog. You go upstairs to the spare bedroom, you get the dog, you take it outside, you're there, you're with the dog, it's just about you and the dog. So we're going to go out with the dog for that consistent period of time where it's just me and the dog. We're going to do some productive stuff rather than trying to fit it in with everything else. Do less with your dog, but make it more useful and more focused. That would be one of the key takeaways from this, is rather than thinking my dog needs its hour in the morning, its hour in the evening, time with me in your day, time here, time there, just think, actually, I can't give it all that time, but what I can give it is a consistent 15, 20 minutes every 3 hours where I can take it out, I can do something productive, give it a little run around, a little retrieve, a little bit of healing, a little bit of good training, and then I put it away again or have it with me for a bit of time in the house and then put it away again and then repeat the process 3 hours later. That's going to serve you in much better stead. Once again, thanks for watching, and remember, you get out what you put in. We'll see you all next time.